discuss about, we're going to hold item 2 for Ms. Hahn, hold item 3 for Ms. Hahn, and 4 we're going to hold for Ms. Hahn, and 5 we'll hold for Ms. Hahn. But we're not going to hold it for Ms. Hahn anymore. I am tired of waiting for Ms. Hahn because she is always on time. It was the courtesy that she gave to the many citizens on her way to City Hall that gave her the 6 minutes that she is late for class, but we always give
I was calling in signal outages and accidents.
Right.
I've been working all the way here.
Good job. Please welcome Ms. Janice Hahn.
And I just was on the phone with our colleague, Councilmember Bill Rosendahl, who was at Crenshaw and the 10 and stopped. Gridlock everywhere this morning. Did you take care of any of these?
Yes, I took care of the opening of the meeting. Now you're ready to go. Start with item 1 if you'd like, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item 1.
Item 1 is consideration of motion Labange Hahn proposing that the council ask LA Inc. to report on what efforts can be made to welcome foreign visitors and to increase tourism to Los Angeles. And this would be using as a starting point a Disney Studios made video, which is being shown in U.S. consulates and airports, and which conveys a message of welcome to the United States. We have today representatives from LA Inc. who are going to make a presentation.
Thank you.
Good. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Mark Lieberman, President of LA Inc., the Los Angeles Convention Visitors Bureau.
And Patty McJennett, Head of Marketing for LA Inc.
And thank you for having us here today. And we wanted to use this time to kind of give you an update on international visitors, discuss what we're doing to attract visitors here to Los Angeles, answer your question on welcoming international visitors, as mentioned, and bring you up to date also on the work that's being accomplished between LA Inc. and the airport, which is very, very important. Okay. First, let's just take a look at some visitation numbers. As you know, last year in 2007 was really a record year for visitors. That's overall visitors, both domestic and international visitors to LA. We had 25.8 million visitors. It was the highest number of visitors that we've ever had in any year. And as we take a look at the numbers this year,
what do we attribute that to?
Good marketing and sales efforts on our part, of course.
And a good councilwoman of the 15th.
Right, absolutely. This is both domestic and international visitors. And we take a look at 2008, we believe that we will have preliminary numbers and show that we'll probably have more visitors in 2008 than we had in 2007.
Wow.
And out of those 25.8 million visitors, 19% of them are international visitors. But as important, of course, or more important, those 19% represent 30% of the spend that all of our visitors spend here in Los Angeles. And the reason for that is because our international visitors stay longer and they spend more. International visitors, 75% of the overseas international visitors stay in hotels, where 50% of our domestic visitors stay in hotels and the other 50% stay with friends and relatives. And as you can see, they generated $4.3 billion in direct visitor spending. And we are the third largest U.S. port of entry for visitors coming in to the United States. New York and Miami are ahead of us. And as we take a look at what's taken place over the last many years since the year 2000, you see that we are starting to come back with an increase in international visitors, as we had 4.8 million international visitors, and of course coming off a high in the year 2000 of 5.5. And as we take a look at numbers for 2008, we think that these numbers will be even higher as we these are visitor numbers, but we take a look at the airport arrivals of international visitors, and they are up over year. So we know that the international visitor count will continue to increase.
Can I just ask a technical question?
Please.
Lufthansa flies from Frankfurt to Los Angeles.
Right.
And they land at LAX.
Right.
a person gets off the plane and walks to Delta and flies to Guadalajara.
Right.
Is that person counted?
That's not an international visitor.
Good, okay, good. I just
That's
need
an international arrival.
Arrival.
Okay, it's not an international visitor. But we should mention, and just as a point of interest, is that we're very pleased that Lufthansa is flying from Frankfurt to Los Angeles versus a U.S. carrier. And the reason for that is because we know that when international carriers fly here, they are carrying more international visitors or locals than a U.S. carrier would. So we probably have about 75% Germans on that flight versus a U.S. carrier where we probably would have about 25%. So this is good, really good news. Just taking a quick look at where these international visitors are coming from. Not surprisingly, the greatest number of visitors comes from Mexico, of about 1.6, 1.7 million visitors a year. And then, as you can see, the numbers continue to go down after that. Just a couple quick comments here. As you can see, we had about 320,000 visitors from Japan last year, but you have to go back to 1998 and realize that we had 800,000 visitors from Japan in 1998, and now we have 318,000 for a variety of reasons. Reasons like, of course, now more and more airplanes are overflying Los Angeles to other cities. South Korea, we can talk about this if you'd like to, where we had 190,000 visitors. We believe that there will be an increase in visitors because of visa waiver. Okay. Overseas arrivals, and these are the number of international people coming through the airport, and these are numbers 2007 compared to 2006. Yes, our numbers are up. We're up 5.6%, but compared to the U.S., we are trailing in market share. The United Kingdom is the largest overseas market to the United States. 20% of overseas international visitors do come from the U.K., and 50% of all of the visitors, international visitors, do come from Europe. And what's taking place now, because of the dollar, is that the eastern seaboard, New York, Philadelphia, and Boston are really the winners here for European traffic, because they're finding that more and more Europeans will come for 3-4 days just to shop. When you think about a 4.5 hour trip from Europe, from London to New York, it's worth it for them to come because of
6 hours, or is it
about 5 hours.
Really?
I think it's about 4.5 hours to New York. So it's a real bargain for them. As you can see, Japan is down, both in the U.S. and here in Los Angeles. There are fewer seats now from Japan to the U.S. But we received some good news working with the airport. EVA Air will start flying from Osaka 3 days a week, which is really the start, I think, of some, I think, additional lift that will come from Japan, because today that would be the only flight from Osaka to Los Angeles. And we're hoping that JAL and ANA take a look at that and say, well, if EVA Air is doing that, why shouldn't we? And also, there's no nonstop service, and we've been trying to pitch this with the airport, from Nagoya to Los Angeles, which is very, very important also.
So we signed an agreement with China to allow more tourists, more visitors. Have we seen the impact of that yet?
Yeah, we haven't seen the impact of it yet, because what took place is that, as you know, the U.S. government and the Chinese government signed an agreement that allows for group leisure travel. Prior to this agreement, you really, to come here, you came here really on a business visa.
Right.
And this will go into effect probably in another 3 months. And we estimate that we should probably pick up another 50% additional traffic. Today we get about 110,000 visitors from China. The U.S. gets about 400,000 visitors, so we get about 28% of the visitors coming in from China. The good news here also is because of the changes in these restrictions, is we're seeing more Chinese airlines wanting to fly to Los Angeles. We believe that Shanghai Airlines, that the airport and ourselves have talked to, will start flying here, along with additional service that Air China, they'll probably put on a second flight. So this is really very, very good news. It's the start. I think it's really the start. But, you know, we're in a very, very competitive environment. Over the years, in the past 15 years, as you can see, international service has increased to 25%. What we're talking about here is more and more airports are accepting international flights. So as a consumer or as someone that is going on vacation, you have many options, not just here in the United States, but of course all over the world. And repeat international visitors, those that have come to Los Angeles year after year now are looking for other places to go in the United States. And the change in aircraft will allow, that are becoming much more efficient, will allow overfly of Los Angeles to other destinations throughout the country. So, as I mentioned, we are working very, very closely with the airport. And this is much good work has been done. We really accomplished a lot, and we think the airport has done some outstanding work in the area of trying to capture additional airlines as we work with them. I'm going to let Patty discuss some of the work that we've done, but also answer those questions about how we're going to.
Yeah, we really need to kind of we have a pretty heavy agenda this morning, so maybe we could get to what Tom really wanted from his motion.
Yeah, that's all right, but I mean,
which
I think
is,
it's real good information.
Yeah, which is how are we making it?
Should mention, I think you both are aware of the partnership that we have. Other cities like Las Vegas, San Francisco have started to, also create partnerships with their airports, but truly we're unmatched. And we have been working with them in terms of attracting new service that Mark was alluding to. And we also, go ahead, Dan, have a strong team of professionals across the countries. Okay. Go back
good.
one.
Yeah.
It's good, but
I'll rush through it, but I just wanted.
We know you're doing good work, but that's why all these people are in the
that's-
airport, and Tom just want to know, what are we doing inside LAX to make it more visitor friendly?
Okay, we'll move through the rest of them.
But as you see, you could just flip these through the 3 seconds.
We are
each.
partnering with the international airlines. We're there on the ground to give them support.
This is so
We
important to go
target-
after agents, Ms. Hahn.
Yes, I had some travel agents in San Pedro last.
Good.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
They were
did.
there on first Thursday, and some of the people they brought there did not
Good.
know all the great things that San Pedro had to offer, and they were more interested in coming a day early on their cruise or maybe staying a day later. So that's key.
Right.
For places like San Pedro.
And then we also work with the media. That is probably one of our most powerful marketing tools. We were able to, last year, generate almost $20 million in comparative ad media value. We also are working, one thing you might want to know is we've come out with a new website, and this goes to your question, Tom, discoverlosangeles.com. And there was an article, you may have read the op-ed piece that was talking about how difficult it is for visitors to come to the U.S. They did mention our websites. Those are mini websites. We, in the next 2 months, are going to be rolling out full websites starting with Spanish next week, followed by Chinese, Korean, and Japanese. I think we're specifically asking about in terms of are we all doing with the airport to create a more welcoming face for Los Angeles. This is a video that was been produced by Disney in cooperation with TIA, Travel Industry Associates. And both LAWA and Tibet have now installed new flat screen monitors with CDs or audio that will allow this to be played. It's about a 7-minute video. I don't know if you want to see a minute
So
of
the
it.
first 32 minutes, 32 seconds.
32 seconds?
32 seconds.
We should say.
Let's see the first minute.
Yeah, we should say that this is produced by Disney, but it is not a commercial for Disney at all. It has nothing to do with Disney. You will see no Disney
And
characters.
it's really a welcome to America.
Thank you, Patty. Mulholland Fountain? Okay, I'm sold.
You're there?
Sold. That's right there at Las Vegas Riverside, my district. I haven't seen San Pedro yet.
Got the idea. I mean, it's
We
basically
have a
presenting the
copy.
warm faces.
If we have a copy of this, we could look at it again, right? Does it have any words or just warm faces?
It's just,
It has some words,
Right,
but right now it's being spliced with instructions in terms of how to process through
right.
the
The
immigration and
toughest
all of
thing
that.
is you have
And
to
it
go to
should-
their capital city to get a visa. And you may not even get it if you go to the capital city. If you are in Brazil, you got to go to Rio to get a
Right.
permission from the Los Angeles. This is great. Okay, if I could have a copy of that, I'll share that with you, Ms. Hahn, if that's okay.
And just to add one more thing, and then we're done. We have been working with LAWA and their contractor, JC Deco, to try and put more Los Angeles imagery up and around Los Angeles Airport.
Good.
So.
Could change the,
Good.
not that I like the French, I do love the French. They gave that great, beautiful statue, a Statue of Liberty, but I think the Hollywood sign is our most welcoming symbol.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think one of the things I think in our whole modernization of LAX, particularly with the whole remodeling of Tibbet and, working with customs, I've always said, we should use Disney. I mean, there's nothing that speaks more about LA than Disneyland. They should be using characters. I mean, I picture videos using characters helping people, like you're waiting in line
Right.
at Disneyland. There's always something entertaining you. There's always something to get you to understand. So that's one of the things I think our airport should more reflect is interactive
Yeah.
videos when people are trying to wait through line at customs. So that's hopefully something we can work on.
Very good. Okay,
thank
we
you.
could come to council with this, just to share a little brief report. I'd like to hear, my colleagues will schedule it sometime appropriate for everybody,
But-
right?
Sure.
Okay.
But really, we appreciate all the hard work you're doing. It's clear that your hard work has increased tourism. We know 4% increase in tourism equals about $12 million to our general fund. So we like the tourists. We like the money that
They bring.
gets into our general fund. I mean, that's important to us. That's the money that we can use.
Well, also, I was at a restaurant last night, and they told me how bad the writer's strike hurt them, I mean, at that little restaurant. Obviously, I'm glad the strike is over. I would like to ask if you could do a 2-page, double-spaced, simple brief with numbers to our neighborhood councils to say, how important tourism is. Sometimes neighborhoods don't have that full view, so it'd be great if you could have one of your
Very good idea.
liaison officers put something together, and requested by Janice Hahn, because you're the mother of neighborhood councils.
And you're the father
The
of
last
tourism,
question-
so
I know,
what does
last
that
question.
mean?
Do you think if Tom Bradley walked through this door today, he would like people to call it Tibbet? I think it should be called Tom Bradley.
Bradley.
Yeah, fine.
Oh, okay, that's all my only thing.
Okay.
Thank you. Julie, you like that? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you. We'll talk to you, Mark.
Okay.
Would you like to note and file the motion?
I wanted something better than note and file, present
Oh, I
to
think-
council.
Yeah, you would like this presented to the city council?
Yeah.
Okay. Forward
Forward
to
to the
council.
council with
Fine.
recommendation to view the full 7 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
Okay.
Under item 2, the Harbor Department submits for information purposes only the department's fiscal year 2007 to 2008 debt accountability statement in accordance with the city charter, and the department's report on the 2007-2008 capital plan as required by the administrative code.
Okay. Thank you, and we're joined by Councilmember Rosendahl. Okay, we continued this item a couple months ago so we could have just a little bit better discussion on some of these important projects that you have in your major capital projects program. And we're about halfway through our fiscal year, so we should have a better sense of maybe where we are on some of these projects, and you can give us a better sense of where we are with your budget and these projects. And do you want me to just ask questions, or did you want to?
Councilmember Hahn, Mike Christensen, Deputy Executive Director of the Port, and Councilmember Labange and Rosendahl. I could give you just a real quick snapshot of where we are on our projects. and then entertain questions.
Okay.
We are tracking to complete about 70% of, spend about 70% of what we had anticipated on our capital improvement plan at the Harbor Department. In terms of some of the milestones, we had committed to do, to complete design on 17 projects as part of our CIP. We've accomplished 11 of those designs at this point. We will complete 5 of the remaining 6 projects within the fiscal year, so we'll make that milestone substantially. The important thing on construction, we're going to begin construction on 12 projects. 3 of these projects have started. 8 should be started before the end of the fiscal year. That totals 11. One of those projects, which is the Cabrillo Beach enhancement, will not be completed until November of '08. Not included in the list, I might note on
That's the Cabrillo Beach, West Channel, Cabrillo Beach?
Cabrillo Beach enhancements. That's the work related to the sand replacement and the
Okay.
circulation
Do we have that on the list?
issues.
Cabrillo Beach enhancements, where is that?
We can address that
Let's see where that is on my list.
specifically if you'd like.
Where is it?
I might note that one of the construction projects that has come up that we wanted to be sure and let the committee
Beach
be aware of is the
enhancement, not this.
Westways demolition, which we are working on, and that should start construction about
Okay.
1 year from right now. So one thing to put on your radar screen, Westways demolition starting 1 year from right now.
Westway's demolition is starting from,
1 year
okay.
from right now. We were planning under our budget in completing 7 projects, construction on 7 projects.
Why is that taking so long 1 year from now?
We have to clear the environmental document.
Okay.
We've already completed, of the 7 projects we plan on completing construction on, we've completed 2 of those. 3 more will be completed by the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, this is not really helping me. I don't know about you guys, because you're just saying projects, and we don't really know what you're talking about, so.
Well, I think, but on the report that I briefed, look, if you just call out what the waterfront
Yeah.
development, what are you doing in waterfront?
Yeah, I mean, here's okay, you got 41 million for San Pedro waterfront development.
Right.
That's like 3.5 million a month. So, other than the water feature, I see nothing. So, where are we at mid-year?
At
On
Mid-York
that.
Waterfront, as you mentioned, water feature will be completed in June. So that will be ready for ribbon cutting prior to the 4th of July on the water feature. We will be starting construction on the following waterfront projects: the Downtown Plaza, 22nd Street Park, and this is before the end of the fiscal year, before the end of June.
Before the end of June.
We'll be starting construction on Downtown Plaza, 22nd Street parking, the 22nd Street Park, which is across from 22nd Street Landing, the SP Slip Angels Walk area, that's the portion
And all this
around.
before June
Starting
30th.
construction before the end of June. We have a tremendous
Okay,
number
it's
of.
like, we're almost to
projects.
March.
Yes, they're
Okay.
out on the street. There's a lot of work out on the street right now,
Okay,
and more in the next month or so.
okay.
And also the warehouse number 1 viewing area. We'll be advertising the Wilmington buffer in April for construction. We'll be completing design on the Harry Bridges Boulevard buffer and also the Cabrillo Marina Phase 2. We'll be finished with design before the end of the fiscal year. So there's a lot of work, that's not a lot highly visible, but there's a lot of work going on, and a lot of construction will be hitting the street the first part of the next fiscal year.
What about the cruise terminal? It says, you got 15 million for the cruise terminal.
That was basically the baggage building, which was completed in September. It was well received by the cruise lines. It's
So that's done.
done.
15 million for our cruise terminal, so that's not, that was the baggage?
That was the baggage building and the signage program, yes.
Okay. So the tent that's out there now, that's to replace,
What that did is the Berth 9192 cruise terminal is undersized and was not doing a good job servicing the multiple vessel calls, and that was the measure we decided to take to fix that. It's worked actually better than we anticipated.
so it's permanent?
It's actually a 20-year structure, and it buys us the time to come up with a more permanent solution out there. And we can replace it any time, but it can last for a while.
Okay, that's interesting. That's the first time I've heard that it's like,
It can last that long. We're not intending it to last that long, but it could. It's not a.
but if there were other ideas for the waterfront that took into account that space, what would be the plan?
It could be easily removed. That's the beauty of that kind of a sprung
But
structure.
what would it replace, I mean, how would we accommodate what this tent is accommodating?
We'd have to go with a much larger terminal building. The new vessels, the modern vessels, require a lot more space than that 9193 or 9192 structure can provide. So for the time
Okay.
being, we're in good shape. We're
Okay.
getting good reviews from the cruise lines.
Okay.
Cruise customers seem to like it.
Great.
And is it reflecting some of this visitor-friendly stuff that we talked about in our first item?
It's starting to. We have a certain amount of
I mean, are you working with LA Inc. kind of to give you ideas about how to make it more visitor-friendly?
but we certainly can.
Might be a good idea.
Okay.
What about this $6.3 billion for transportation improvement projects?
That was
What are those?
That was the cost of design. The $6.3 million was pretty much all design, and it's focused on the 110 connectors. It's fixing the Harbor Swinford intersection.
Yeah.
It's working on the ramp connections from 47 to 110. It's work on the South Wilmington grade separation, which will alleviate the problems going on.
Will we see this work completed by
We see
this
moving
fiscal
in.
year?
We see that's mostly work in progress. We have.
Will we see it? When will we see that work finished?
We'll start to see work bid on some of the elements of that project, particularly the Harry Bridges Boulevard improvements and some of the John S. Gibson work in the next fiscal year. We'll start to see construction bids going out on that. South Wilmington grade separation is another year or so out. We've had some issues dealing with some DWP facilities we're having to redesign around, so we'll see another year of design on that.
I saw at one point a design for the Swinford, Harbor Boulevard, Swinford exit off the freeway, completely redesigned, landscaping. Is that still on the books, or has that changed?
Yes, there is. There's a couple
Kind
of
of, it's
generations
supposed to
of
like
that.
really open up as you drove down into the cruise terminal.
Correct. There was the Gateway project on Harbor Swinford, which does just as you say. It opens it up, it
Right.
replants that whole
That's
area.
still on the books?
It creates, yes, it is.
Have we designed that? Have we sent that out for bid?
Okay.
Where is that?
We had it completely designed, it was ready to
Yeah.
advertise, and we had a right-of-way issue with Caltrans. Unfortunately, they wanted us to actually purchase the property to build the project. So we're working with Caltrans to resolve those issues, and then
What's
ahead with
the
it.
timing on that?
That should be the next fiscal year. So we
I would
would have
hope.
about a year. It would have been out to bid and starting construction this fiscal year were it not for that property issue.
Correct.
So that'll be coming soon.
And when we have issues like that, do we work with our state legislators, like Betty Carnett, who chairs transportation and should have a good relationship with Caltrans? Or do we just kind of try to muddle through and
If we
resolve it,
reach-
and then it's a year, 2 years, 3 years?
If we reach an impasse at the district level, that yes, we do. This one, we.
You know,
we didn't
on all
quite
these
make it.
projects, my advice to you is don't wait till you reach an impasse. Because that's 6 months, then it's a year, then it's 2 years, then it's 3 years. I mean, we have these people at the state level that, and you have people in the port who are supposed to be intergovernmental, liaisons. Betty Carnett should help us, or Alan Lonther, whoever's best relationship with Caltrans. Don't wait and muddle through these problems. We know at our level, you wait till there's an impasse, well, you've just lost 2 years or 3 years. So my advice to you is, particularly if it's a Caltrans issue, and again, these are things that we have been on the books for a while. We've promised to the community. It's been all a part of our whole, don't try to do everything by yourself. That's what they're there for. We elect them. They're there to help us. And someone like Betty Carnett, who was chair of transportation, she should be able to pick up the phone and call Caltrans and say, we got an issue in San Pedro, resolve it. And if we don't, tell me why. That's how we all work. So don't be trying to develop all this in a silo when it comes to issues like that. That's my advice.
Okay, good advice. Thank you.
Okay, what about the environmental projects briefly? 9 million budgeted for environmental projects. How much of that maybe is for amping, or maybe just tell me what those,
Of the 5 million, of the 9 million, about 5 million of that was for amping. We've got 2 berths fully amped right now at the port, China Shipping, and the newly berthed amp at YTI. Of the 9 million, a little over 2 was for the Carrillo Beach improvements. That was the 80,000 cubic yards of sand we
Right.
replaced,
right.
and some of the other improvements on
Is
water
that water,
circulation.
is our water quality under control?
It's,
Did that do the trick?
To be honest, I can't say that yet. This is one of the situations where we just,
What are we going to try after this if it's not?
the next thing we do is we remove the rock jetty at the launch
Really?
area. We've just completed a trial using pumps to see if we could improve circulation. So we'll do the rock jetty removal, then we'll do the evaluation. And it's we're going to have to go through a complete wet season to see what that results are. Our plan is to basically go after every man-made.
When's the next time we're going to test it?
Well, the testing goes on pretty much continuously, and the grades have fluctuated. We've had some good beach grades, and we've had a couple bad ones.
Yeah,
But it's hard to tell what the impacts, whether those are impacts of stormwater runoff or
right.
not. And of course, one of the challenges too is we haven't finished the sand. In April, we're going to take the last 8,000 yards of sand at the water level, which once we do that, we do the rock jetty removal, and we'll see what we can come up with.
That's pretty drastic, the removal of the rock jetty.
It's not the breakwater we're talking about. It's,
Yeah, I know.
It's the jetty at the, yes. That
That's still
we've
kind of-
identified as one of the impediments for
problems.
circulation. And water circulation through that area is one of the main issues. We have to remember, too, that that's habitat in the outer harbor, and the habitat, including the eelgrass and the biota out there, are one of the things that might be driving this.
Okay. Where are we on the Cabrillo Marina? And why is it taking so long?
We're moving forward on design right now. I'm going to advertise that for construction in June. We've had a lot of issues dealing with, in response to community on the dry storage, for instance, so we had to go back and do a redesign. But we're through that now. June will advertise. The cost is up to about $100 million. So that's what we're anticipating in terms of construction bids.
So when do we think that will be done?
Well, we're looking at having the marina done by October of 2010. I think that's a commitment.
It's
Wow.
a little over a 2-year
October
construction.
2010.
Wow.
And the challenge, of course,
That's disappointing,
is in,
because we were supposed to break ground in June of '05 when a private company was going to build it. But the port said, no, we can do it. Wow.
can't answer that.
Yeah, I know. That's
But I should just say,
amazing.
you have a great
5
opportunity.
years.
You know, it's so disappointing. I mean, to hear some things that I know have had so much momentum
Yeah.
going on at the port
I know.
and not see them working. And I almost think to hold a little more accountability, it may sound crazy, but you know, they have these big public boards to say, we are doing this then, and you're trying to hold people
Yeah.
accountable, because this is what the people want.
Right.
You have a great facility there that only is going to be enhanced by this. It's going to make other people come and share.
Well,
So
I
share
agree.
your
I mean, I've kept my own little
Yeah.
board, and it's been very disappointing. Yeah, like when we built Welcome Park, I had a sign that said, coming summer of '07, and we got that park built summer of '07, because, you're right, and I wanted to let the people know that we were going to make good on our promises. It's been very difficult. My whiteboard of projects for the port has been canceled, erased, scratched out, changed so many times, and again, it's very, very disappointing. And I think more than just disappointing, you know, we have an opportunity to have investments in San Pedro, in downtown San Pedro, which we haven't had in a long time. And we have developers coming in, they're building homes, and there's restaurants that want to locate, because everyone really assumed this great waterfront with marinas and everything was going to happen. And the port really has not held up their end. You know, we have had developers risk a lot to come into downtown San Pedro, and you guys just have not held up your end of the bargain. It's been very, very disappointing.
I'm just curious where Geraldine Nat is my own personal opinion. She was at Long Beach. Why isn't she here giving us a report?
I think she had some other things going.
Well,
I can't
would you
really
tell
answer.
Councilman Rosendahl would appreciate her next time giving us an update on these things? I mean, she's a bright light and high energy, and I'm hopeful that the combination of Ms. Hahn and her would take us to the new day quicker. I don't want to be dead by the time all this stuff happens.
I don't want that to happen, Mr. Rosendahl, but if you
No,
do.
you know, serious, is that, would you tell her I'd like to see her next time and give us a report on these things as well?
I will, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the update on some of these. Some of them actually look like they're going to happen, which is positive. And we know, the Harbor Department has a lot of projects in their capital improvement plan. A lot of them have to do with, the berths and the development of Pier 300 and 400 and a lot of that stuff. Port security is certainly a huge issue. You've got 23 million on port security. It'd be nice to know what some of those projects are going to be. My trip to Israel really sort of reaffirmed for me how important some of these projects are going to be for our own port. So maybe briefly you can tell me
Waterside
what is this going to mean in terms of making our port safer?
Sure.
I'm still extremely concerned about the vulnerability
The number one
of our
security project that we put forward is the waterside surveillance program, with the concept being every square inch of the harbor can be seen by camera remotely. We're well along on that project. We will complete in August of this year. This summer we'll be completed with that. We have port building security upgrades in process right now. Those also have a completion date of September of this year, and we have some cruise terminal security upgrades that are in process right now. That'll complete at the end of the year. We very much appreciate this committee's help last week on getting the Port Police Building moving forward. That's probably the biggest single security project we have on our budget, and that's going to notice proceed, and we'll be breaking ground on that within the next month or so.
And I'll tell you, one of the pieces of information that was I learned while I was traveling in Israel was that we have abandoned our joint container inspection facility. It was very disappointing for me. I didn't really know that we had abandoned that, and then instead we're doing sort of a mobile, smaller version of that could actually be moved around.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's disappointing because when I think about the last 5 years, every time we went to Washington, D.C., every time Long Beach and L.A. lobbied together, it was always for this joint container inspection facility on the waterfront. And I will tell you, I saw some pretty exciting models of that in Israel. They were a fixed building. Every truck went through them. Every container was screened. And it was very disappointing to me here that we've abandoned that. I mean, the captain of the port from the Coast Guard every time said the number one priority was this joint container inspection facility. So who made that decision to abandon that project and create a mobile that could be used? I was told one of the appealing factors of this that it could be moved, like taken to the airport or somewhere else, which I had a fit because I don't want it moved. I mean, oh yeah, we could take this down if Bratton wants this, downtown somewhere, which I had a fit about because I think that's a bad, short-sighted goal, is to have a mobile container inspection facility that won't be at the port all the time. Who made that decision?
That was made by Geraldine with John Holmes' input. So John
Yeah.
could give you a lot of details as to the
Yeah.
reasons that he had for doing that.
Yeah, it was disappointing. Again, that was something that was always on our books. Every time you guys had a budget, that joint container inspection facility went from 25 million to 50 million to 90 million. We located the space for it, and boom, all of a sudden, somebody made a decision to abandon that and do a much lesser, I think, a lesser secure option. But
If you'd like, I could have John give you a briefing on that.
I already had it.
Okay.
As you can tell, I'm not convinced. Okay, any questions, colleagues?
No, and also I just want to say too, staff has to do it. I know, Mr. Rosendahl, you spoke with the general manager, but staff has to show the fire. And so I respect staff, but you also got to push hard And I know Ms. Hahn's office, my office, Mr. Rosendahl, all of us are open to try to see a better Port of Los Angeles for the community and for the operation. Thank you.
Yeah, and our bottom line, frankly, is pretty simple. You got money, it's a big deal. We got 43% of our goods going through there. It's going to go up even more. The quicker the better in getting that thing for the community in better shape. And whatever we can do as a council to assist you in
Right.
getting through roadblocks. I think Ms. Hahn's point about other levels of government that are really there to serve and to be part of the solution. It isn't just us. And that's another reason why I want Geraldine Nat to come before, because I want to hear from, I haven't seen her in a long time, and I want to see where her energy is on all these projects. It's very important to us that we have leadership coming from her.
And may I just say again, this is not just for the communities of Wilmington and San Pedro. I mean, this waterfront, LA Inc. will tell you that our waterfront is LA's waterfront. I mean, there's no reason why we cannot be a San Diego, a Seattle, a Long Beach, Baltimore. I mean, you look at we have more going on for us on our waterfront than all those cities, and so it's really it's a regional situation, and it's for all of Los Angeles. We should have a waterfront that rivals anybody else's, and we've lost so much time, and it's unfortunate. So it's not just for San Pedro and Wilmington. While it is for them, this is a waterfront that should be enjoyed by all of Los Angeles. It should attract tourism. It should, attract day trips, overnight trips. It's a huge opportunity for us to contribute to the economy. And I've kind of always felt like the port doesn't look at it like that. Oh, yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, Councilwoman Hahn keeps bugging us, and we're going to do it. But it's going to be a moneymaker if it's done properly. It'll be a huge moneymaker, and it'll benefit all of Los Angeles. It'll put money, again, we know tourism dollars put money into our general fund. So it's a fabulous opportunity, and we're going to keep you to your latest schedule yet again that you've given us.
We'll be glad to report some tremendous progress in the months and years.
And we'll take an update in 60 days. In fact, one of the things we might want to do is schedule a meeting that we just talk about waterfront capital improvement projects.
Lovely.
Okay, so we'll get an update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to do 6 next, since Mike is up there? You want to do item 6 since Mike is there?
Yes. Why do you want to do 6?
Because Mike is going to give that presentation.
Oh, right. Okay. Fine, let's do 6.
Under item 6, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for approval 6 agreements with 6 private companies that provide drayage services at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, and that have agreed to comply with requirements of the Clean Air Action Program, LNG Truck Program. Clean Air Action Plan, LNG Truck Program, in return for port financial assistance in replacing their pre-1994 diesel-powered trucks for new liquefied natural gas-fueled trucks. The 6 companies that have agreed to participate are Blue Sky, Calco Transport Company, California Cartage Company, JBA Company, Southern Counties Express, and Total Transportation Services. And the CAO also has submitted a report and recommendation for approval of the 6 agreements.
Okay, great. Well, we love this because it's a great step in our efforts to eliminate the dirty trucks in and around of the port. Tell us how it will work and why this is so important, that we had to rush this through on our agenda.
Council members, to cut right to the chase, we'll introduce Christopher Patton, our Environmental Affairs Officer and the head of our Air Quality Section. And perhaps he could give you the real quick outline of the program and then field any questions you might have on it.
Okay.
Okay, let me hit.
How does this work?
Okay, let me hit the high points. As was mentioned, this is an early action measure contained in the CAP, and it was designed to get 120 or more LNG trucks out on the road as soon as possible, and that's really what this is about. In fact, this whole package of our funding combined with the Air Quality Management District, South Coast, will put close to 160 LNG trucks out on the road, and we hope to get most of them out by the end of this first quarter. The fact is, the ports worked together with the AQMD, put together an RFP just about 11 months ago, based upon feedback from the applicants. We retooled the RFP, we changed some of the provisions. Frankly, we increased the grant awards. We reissued that RFP in August, and we got good response. We went to our board in September, and they authorized that staff and the city attorney proceed with execution of contracts for 10 firms, and this would make up a total of 117 trucks, totaling about $22 million. That will be coupled with about 40 some odd.
So how does this work exactly?
I mean, how does?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
what are the contracts
as soon as
for?
What are they for?
Yeah.
They're to actually assist with the purchase of LNG trucks. A new LNG truck costs about $205,000, and we are granting them about $185,000. So we're giving a substantial contribution. They're having to put up $20,000, and as soon as the contracts are executed and they present us the invoices for those trucks, we give them the money. But the fact is, those trucks are frankly ready to roll. They've been
manufactured, they're there.
They're ready to go. So the reality is, they should be out in the next 60 to 90 days on the road, reducing air pollution down in the port area.
And part of it is they have to get rid of the...
Yes, they have to scrap an old diesel truck, 1993 or older, as exchange for this transaction.
Terrific.
It's part of the deal.
It's great. It will probably reduce emissions
It's going to reduce emissions dramatically. Dramatically, and I would say one of those organizations, Southern Counties Express, has implemented and has operational a fueling facility today. There was a grand opening of that about a month and a half ago.
Right.
They had some of these trucks on display, so this is a very good deal.
So
And
today we're approving 6 of the agreements?
6 of the 10.
Where are the other 4?
The other 4 should be coming to you forthwith. They were lagged behind because of some execution issues with the applicants, but this represents the critical mass of the 117 trucks. I think it's about 72. 72 of the trucks out of 117 are contained in these 6, and the others are imminent.
Questions?
Sure, a couple of quick ones.
Okay, go.
How many drainage trucks service the 2 ports combined?
16,800 are what we're calling our frequent callers.
And what percentage of these trucks does this program represent?
That would be, just around 1%, less than 1%.
Are there plans to expand this program after the initial 7 years have been completed?
There is through the truck replacement, the Clean Truck Program, which is in the process of being developed. But yes, that could include LNGs as well as the clean diesel.
Okay, because 1% is a start, but not the end. Will the LNG fueling facilities be accessible to other types of vehicles that makes use of this alternative fuel technology?
Yes. There is actually a jointly funded public fueling facility that's in the permitting process now. Should be operational, I believe, in the next 4 to 6 months.
Fantastic. If the city sanitation collection truck needs to refuel there, would it be able to?
That's a good question. We'll have
Good
to get back
question.
to you.
And
on
would
that.
the general public be allowed to use it as well?
General public, yes.
But we're going to get to city sanitation collection and get an answer on that. Okay. It is important that the city uses its position in the marketplace to advance the development of alternative fuels broadly. So the more you do it, the more it sets the tone for the rest of the.
You bet.
Thank you.
Quick questions. You travel a little, right? Just sitting around. What are they doing in Oakland? What are they doing in Baltimore? What are they doing in New Jersey on this truck issue?
As far as I know, we are clearly in the lead on LNG.
I got it, but do they have the problem that we have? Do they have a problem with trucks like that, you know?
Yes.
Everybody
I don't know.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask, that these are the representatives, I know you're the councilwoman of the district, but I wanted to, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you. Okay, now.
Love you too, Tom.
Okay, this is the thing, I want to see what the others are doing. See, one of the problems is, this is the terminus of Southern California. You can't drive past Santa Monica, right? You're on a ship. So all these trucks get stuck here, and so the market of the low-end trucks is so high here. Do they have that in other areas? You could call me sometime, 485-3337. Let me know what's happening in ports around the country. I'm interested in the truck issue. I know it's massive here because we're the biggest with Long Beach.
I would echo what Mike said. We are really at the cutting edge in terms of cleaning up this fleet, and many of the other ports have exactly the same problems we do.
Okay. Any other questions?
That's it. Thank you.
Good. I'm proud of us for doing this. I think it's innovative, and it's a way to get us to our goals, so we appreciate your hard work on this.
Thank you.
And we'll be looking for the other 4 contracts coming as soon as possible. Okay. Move to approve?
Approved, so moved, enthusiastically.
Okay.
Great.
Back to item 3, harbor top
Yes.
sale. Item 3, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for approval an agreement with the Los Angeles Maritime Institute for a sponsorship of the Top Sail Youth Sailing Training Program in the amount of $1.6 million over 3 years. And the Top Sail program is part of the city's LA Bridges program for at-risk youth. The CAO also has submitted a report and a recommendation for approval of the agreement.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Captain. How are you? Nice to see you. Colleagues, this is a great program. It's one of the things I, first of all, we want to thank the Port of Los Angeles for being a partner in. When we talk about trying to keep kids out of gangs, and we try to talk about real alternatives and how all of our departments in the city are trying to do that, this is one of the great things that the Port of Los Angeles is actually sponsoring is the Top Sail program, which takes kids from all over and teaches them how to sail under the tutelage of Captain Jim Gladson and the LA Maritime Institute. So I love this program. Appreciate you wanting to do it. If you want to tell my colleagues any more about how great it is or how it works, and one of the things I always want to know is how can we do more? How can we reach out more to kids, particularly in the northern part of my district?
Yes.
How do we get those kids from Watts and South Los Angeles down there learning how to sail? So maybe you can tell me about that.
Introduce yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm one of the captains, vice president. Come down and see the boats. Come down and see them with kids on them. That's where the beauty is.
What's your name?
I'm Alice. And it's really fun because as a lady captain, you know, some of my Hispanic girls are just sort of at awe, which is, you know, another subliminal message. But yes, we don't have the funds to extend the program to our kids all over.
How much more would you need to do that?
Oh boy.
Where do you want to stop?
Yeah, we have the days, we have the vessels. You know, I'm the money guru, but I haven't had that question. I haven't had that question asked.
Yeah, we're asking everybody that as we go through the city of Los Angeles. We're taking all of our programs, all of our bridges programs, and we're point blank saying, what is it that you need to really reach the youth of Los Angeles? This is a program that, again, limited by funds, but we always want to know that as we're trying to look in our budget for extra dollars, particularly for prevention, intervention, after-school programs. This one fits the bill perfectly. So, you know, maybe sometime give us a report on, you know, how much money it takes to, you know, reach more kids.
Oh, that would be a joy.
I mean, you know, ask and ye shall receive, knock and the door shall be open. You have not because you ask not.
I will.
Oops.
Well, it'll be in your email.
Yeah, I mean, we need to know these things. And, you know, one of the things we're doing is moving forward to put a ballot measure on the ballot in November, which will raise, we think, close to $30 million annually just to be able to grant fund programs like Top Sail. So it's just over the horizon that we may be beginning to have a dedicated revenue stream that will only go for prevention, intervention, after-school programs. Top Sail would be in perfect position to avail themselves of this kind of funding. So get ready, get your budget ready, be willing to show the city fathers and mothers exactly what these taxpayer dollars could go to improve kids' lives.
Can you help us with buses? A lot of my schools can't get their buses.
Yes,
for the monies.
absolutely.
Yes.
We can do all that. So good program, appreciate the port sponsoring it, but we know that it is, you are limited by funding. You could reach more kids if you had more money, so we want to know what those wishes are so we could help you.
Can I
Even getting the Swift of Ipswich
Yeah.
back in commission so that we can deal with smaller groups. Many of our groups start out with a small number of kids. It's hard to get a group of adolescents together in some of the communities that we target. But after the first, second, or third trip, their groups grow. We've had examples where we couldn't get 6 kids on the first time they came. By the middle of the second year of their operation with us, it filled both brigantines at the same time.
What's it going to take to get it back in commission?
500,000.
How much?
500,000.
500,000.
Yeah, it's in the shipyard now, being completely restored, and the money has not come in as we thought it would.
Well, is that something that the port could help out on?
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Right
I mean-
now, our funding for the program is really targeted at the 27 Bridges schools.
Yeah.
Right, but that is something that maybe the port could look at helping out on.
We will take.
I mean, you do ships, right, and boats. That wouldn't be.
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't be contrary to the state tidelands purposes, right? You do boats.
Not to my understanding. I don't
Right,
think
that
it
might
would
be something you want to look at, because again, I think that
fine.
is key, that without that boat in service, we're also missing some opportunities.
Yes.
Oh, she's perfect for 5th grade.
See? Okay. All right, any questions?
Yeah, just quick
Yes.
item about buses, so that we all have a little bus account, so we can try to do that,
Yeah.
which is real important. I know the importance of the Explorer program for the police department. Does the port have a Explorer program,
We
like, you know what the police department one is? Those are the,
we have
okay.
a cadet program with our port police.
and how many, well, not with the police, with the port? Meaning, let's
Yeah.
say I want to be a police officer, but let's say I want to be something in the port, and it somehow get that relationship up there.
We have a charter high school called the Port of Los Angeles Charter High School, which is kind of that kind of a place for kids to learn about
Opportunity.
careers
Okay.
in the port, and there is a relationship there.
As well as Banning High School's International
Right.
Trade Program. Plus, the port has a very extensive student worker program where these are college, university students who we bring aboard, and many
How
have
many
been-
students is extensive?
About 60.
60, yeah. So let's try to double that every year.
Yes.
You know, I went to trade school in Los Angeles, and I think it was very good for my development. And when you spoke about buses, all I thought about when a child is going to the Cabrillo Museum, going to the County Arboretum, going to the Natural History Museum, and it does enlighten those who would like to be enlightened, and I think the majority want to be enlightened. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would just like to know, what relationship do you have with my district, with either Westchester or Oakwood or Venice or any of my communities with young people being part of it? Do you know?
This program started in 1973 in Mar Vista.
It did.
Yes.
That's my background. That's,
Okay.
that's my home.
We started with the Area D Alternative School. I was one of the founders and one of the teachers there. It grew in the alternative schools, which were, particularly unique environments.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity came to form the Maritime Institute as a separate nonprofit, we had outgrown our ability before that using a local yacht club in San Pedro. And it has grown since then, but the roots go all the way back to those
Well,
days in Mar
because we
Vista.
do have Marina Del Rey, and we do have a whole set of issues there. I'd like to know exactly where we are with my district, and I'd like to get partnering with private sector groups that might be able to help also in the funding. It would be a great opportunity for young men and women.
Yes, it
Let me
really
just
is.
ask this question of the port. It's a 1.6 million contribution
Correct.
to be paid over 3 years.
Right. The request was for $525,000 for this current fiscal year with a 3% escalator for the second and third year.
Now, with all due respect, that's not that much money. Paltry. And do you base it on what they request?
We base it, this is part of our participation with the Council's Bridges program. So their estimate is based on the Bridges program and 270 sailing days afforded to the Bridges kids. It's part of our overall education program, as you know.
It's
But you could do-
$4.76 an hour for each student.
Yeah.
that they're-
I just feel like with, the millions of dollars that the port has, And I'm wondering why this is so small, 1.6 over 3 years.
This is a response to their request
And I think it's
From bridges or from topsail?
from Topsail.
Yeah, you guys.
Based on
You guys got to ask for more.
There's two things that I think we need to put on the table here right now. One is that we look at our clientele through this grant or this contract as the kids who are eligible to be part of the Bridges program. If the Bridges group fails to take advantage of it, then we work usually through the Beyond the Bell people. And if that doesn't do it, we start looking at community organizations. But we try to spend every single one of those dollars actually with kids in the target group. The other thing that...
But you're saying you can't target kids from Watts because of funding.
That's part of it, absolutely.
Okay.
And getting them there is part
Well-
of it, because the school districts just have a real time.
Again, we all have budgets for buses, so,
Yahoo.
We need to talk about how we
yeah.
get those people on those buses at the time that they need to come.
And funding. Just-
One of our big wastes
You're
is
talking in circles.
the kids who fail to show up and we don't know they're not coming.
Yeah. Okay, well,
But
again,
one other thing that I think is important,
yeah.
more than 2/3 of all of the work that's being done for this program, I mean, really work, professional work. Captain Alice here is a volunteer. I'm a volunteer.
know. God bless you.
2/3 of all of the work is done by volunteers.
God bless you. I
And
know.
that's one of the reasons that we can operate in a relatively inexpensive manner. We get to looking at budgets in a different way than you're looking at it. We know that we can provide a tremendous asset if we have the money, and we
Right.
try not to ask for more money than is appropriate.
Okay.
I'm a cheapskate.
I got to get you guys to think big, okay?
Yes, thank
We're
you.
we're trying to end gang violence in Los Angeles, okay? We cannot arrest our way out of the problem. Some New York Times article said no one has, I forget how the comment is, but something, we're not addressing gang violence in a way in this big city that we should be. You guys are the service providers. The port is a major source of dollars. I'm about to put something on the ballot that's going to get lots of money. Think big. You're changing lives. You're saving lives. You're keeping kids from joining gangs. Think big. Maybe you should think about hiring somebody so that it's not all volunteers.
There we go. Thank
We're in the big leagues here on gang violence. And God bless you, Captain Jim, and you, and all the volunteers, Captain Alice. But we got to think bigger, because you know what? We're not solving the problem. We've been fighting this war on gangs for 20 years. We've arrested 450,000 people. We have more gangs, more gang members than we've ever had. You guys are the answer, in my opinion, to giving our kids a real alternative. So think big. You guys should all huddle, go out on a boat, take all the big thinkers out there on the ocean, and put together, a really big plan on how topsail can be a huge part of our puzzle that we're trying to solve this problem of gang violence. You're it. I just got to get you guys to think bigger. The money is there.
Thank you.
You've got to figure out how to access
Well, we'll
it.
come.
Yes to my kids.
Yeah. We got to give our kids something to say yes to.
Yeah.
We've been telling them to say no for too long, to gangs, to drugs, to bad activity. This is something to say yes to. So think big, partner with the port, and let's make this program really huge in the next few years. We'll approve this agreement. I just feel like we could get a lot more.
We can do a lot more.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
We love you.
Yep, we sure do.
Thank you very much.
I'm assuming my,
They're having breakfast.
oh,
They've arrived.
oh, okay. Do I need to go?
You can start this, then we'll go.
Okay,
Item 4?
okay.
Okay.
4?
Item 4 is continued consideration of motion Han Weezer requesting that the Los Angeles World Airport's report on options to improve conditions for passenger services workers at LAX and to provide adequate wages and benefits for these workers, further requesting that LAWA respond to each of the recommendations in the recent report by Lane concerning the passenger services workers. Also, continued consideration of LAWA's report received on November 5th, 2007, which was presented to this committee in November. And when this subject was discussed that day, the committee asked the department to return in 1 month's time with a progress report.
Okay. Where are we, Miss Gina Marie?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're good. We're good.
I would be delighted to address the subject before you this morning.
Okay.
Over the last, and this is an interim follow-up report, as you requested.
Right.
Over the last several months, we've been in dialogue with
Right.
representatives of the airlines
Right.
and the passenger service workers, as well as our own operations staff and legal counsel regarding developing new policy that establishes minimum qualifications and performance standards for governing the granting of non-exclusive license agreement, which we call NELAs. And these license agreements would be and are granted to aviation service contractors.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at how other airports have implemented minimum standard programs for these service providers. We've sought direction from the FAA in formation of a policy with significant and, I think, positive consequences for both passengers and workers. Now, the title of this policy is a little pedestrian, I'll tell you. Hang on. We will be taking this to the Board of Airport Commissioners. We're anticipating in March. Here's the title. Minimum qualifications and performance standards for passenger and certain aeronautical services contractors at LAX Limited Access.
Is there an
It's not
an acronym?
I don't know. I don't even want to think
Yeah.
about it.
Acronym is like
It's
a whole
nothing,
sentence.
I think, that is going to jump off the shelf and become a bestseller.
Yeah, okay.
However, it is descriptive of what the policy actually is. And we do think it will institute a change that will improve the working conditions for approximately 5,000 workers.
In what way?
Well, let's
Specifically.
talk about that. The intent of the policy is to ensure that the contractors licensed by LAWA provide passenger and aeronautical services, and these aeronautical services would be in the line of ramp and ground handling as well as cabin cleaning for aircraft. That these services meet a common set of qualifications and performance standards. The adoption and enforcement of those standards ensures that contracted service providers are competent and qualified. They are willing and able to discharge both the service obligations to its customers and the economic obligations to the airport community. And by holding the contractors accountable, we, the airport, take substantial additional responsibility for protecting the interests of the aviation user and the public and the airport community. I mentioned that we intend to take the RFQ, a request for qualifications, out in, I think it is June. Let me look here. We would be issuing the RFQ to establish the certified list of contractors that would be issued the NELAs, and then air carriers can choose from that list on the contractors that they want to contract with. We would also, as a part of all of this, since these would be new standards, we would have to institute a program to decertify programs for companies that do not meet these new standards. And to assist with that new policy, we would define a transition period during which non-qualified businesses would close their operations and their workers hopefully could find work with the qualified firms that remain at the airport. In order to be qualified, we would be evaluating the applying service providers against these four basic criteria. Employee relations, which entails compliance with federal, state, and city employee protection laws. Employee training, which is specific to the area of services to passengers with disabilities, as well as all of the other training that we feel is necessary to operate responsibly on an airport. Contractor experience and financial standing, which really is their demonstrated capacity to operate at a very complicated international airport, as well as demonstrated financial capacity. And then service quality. The selection process would begin in May with the actual selections in July, and would be accomplished through a selection panel that's comprised of aviation and airport stakeholders. The number of firms to be qualified through this process would be 3 in each category: ramp and ground handling, cabin cleaning, passenger services, and janitorial. I just want to close by saying thanks to everybody that's been involved in helping us get this far, and we look forward to actually implementing this.
Thank you. I really appreciate when we started this process. Everybody seems so far apart, but I really appreciate the hard work that everybody's kind of stayed at the table to get this. And I really appreciate, taking this tact and having the LAWA assume more responsibility and accountability for this. It didn't seem like that was going to happen in the beginning, so really
It's been good involvement from a lot of different sections and a lot of different stakeholders, which we really appreciate. Some creative thinking and some flexibility.
Yeah, I think that's very important. But as you said, I was very struck by the plight of these particular service employees at the port. Their claims of lack of training and what they were asked to do, and really not being nurtured and taken care of like I think they should be. So I appreciate this hard work. So this goes to the board
in March.
Good.
I got a couple of quick questions, and
Sure.
I know item 5 she's going to be leaving, but I got stuff on that.
I got to
too.
leave now. I've got the mayor of Ishka up in my office.
The airline's been involved in the formation of this policy.
Yes.
What is the plan for enforcing the new standards? How will we know they're being followed?
We're going to have to assign staff
Okay.
that goes
We
and
hold you on
does
that point before
spot
the Madam
audits.
Chair leaves. On a different topic, Jean Marie, would you please report at the next TCT meeting regarding the status and progress of program management contract with the midfield terminal and the other green projects? And Madam Chair, can we agendize that for the next meeting? Yes. Great. Okay.
Yes.
We got that. All
Be
right.
happy to be back.
That's agendized. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, let me ask a couple of more questions for the record, and then we got item 5 to play with. What is the plan for enforcing the new standards? How will we know they're being followed? Will there be fines for violations or short of termination?
Yeah, we have not developed the specifics on exactly what kind of punitive program there's going to be, but we're going to have to set up enforcement staff and spot audits, really.
Okay. Will employees and members of the public be able to file complaints under the new policy?
Yes.
Okay. As an effort to improve employee retention, how will this policy address improvements in wages and benefits?
I don't know.
Okay, good answer. Look forward to
It's
getting
true,
an answer on that as time
unfortunately.
goes on. Okay, but we have agreement for the next agenda item to be an update on the midfield terminal and the other 4 green-lighted projects as
Yes.
to where they're at. So we look forward to that and where that status has to go. There are people who have questions. If I could ask them all to come up, but I also want to ask you on item 5. We have here, it says public comment, Arnold Saxe's left. How about number 4? We have Arnold Saxe's left. Then we have Carlina. Is that her name? Come on up, Carlina. That's it. Yeah, come on up. Hi.
I'm Carolina Briones from LA Alliance for a New Economy, and I know time is short. I just want to quickly say how delighted I am to hear what LAWA had to say today, and just thank them and really appreciate all the hard work and focus that we've seen in the last couple of months. And we're so excited to be starting this process soon that's going to really result in dramatic improvements in quality at LAX and conditions for workers. And we really want to emphasize the role of the airlines, and that they need, we're very hopeful that they're going to be supportive of this process and be willing to really invest in their contractors and in the workforce. Thank you.
We're very delighted that you're delighted. Thank you so much. Item number 5.
Item 5 is motion Rosendahl-Labange, introduced on January 23rd, proposing that the council ask the Board of Airport Commissioners to direct staff to study the feasibility of implementing direct airport shuttle service between Ontario International Airport and the San Bernardino Metrolink line, and implementing flyaway service between Ontario Airport and Orange County, including the Metrolink stations in Anaheim and Orange.
Great, great, great. And Gina Marie, before she leaves, I want you to hear these questions or comments that are going to the... First, I want to thank the staff for working with my office on this motion. I introduced this motion because I was shocked to hear that there was no shuttle service linking L.A. Ontario Airport to the Metrolink station nearby, only 2 miles away. The Metrolink system serves 3 million passengers per year. I think making the connection from this system to L.A. Ontario makes sense for both LAWA and Metrolink. But I also introduced this motion because I think we need to go one step further with encouraging the regionalization of air traffic. I believe that if we make access to L.A. Ontario quicker and easier, more travelers will choose to fly out of that airport. So in addition to the 2-mile shuttle link to the nearest Metrolink station, I am now proposing today that we study flyaway service from L.A. Ontario to Orange County. I understand that funding for flyaway service is always a challenge, but I look forward to innovative ideas for this feasibility study regarding how we can move forward. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. Thank you. Yes, we have been working with your staff on this, and we are anxious to get going on the feasibility study that the motion requests. We do have, the committee may or may not be aware that there used to be shuttle service to the Metrolink station to the Riverside line, which is south of the airport, rather than the San Bernardino line to the north of the airport. But again, we're happy to look at that. And as you're aware, the flyaway service is a very successful and useful tool that we've been looking at previously as a traffic and air quality mitigation measure at LAX, but looking at it in the context of boosting the regional use of Ontario, particularly from the Anaheim site that you've alluded to in the motion, is something that we're perfectly happy to and willing to report back on.
Good. I look forward to the report backs on that. And you know, this Metrolink business, the dream would be to get it into the airport one of these days and get Metrolink actually functioning as a system.
Or the Gold Line.
Or the Gold Line,
Yeah.
which of course we agree with that concept too. Good. We look forward to a report back on both those options.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. It looks like, do you want to speak? You left. Yeah.
Well, I did have a few other comments.
Yeah, come on up. Okay. And then we'll adjourn after that.
Excuse me, Councilman, was there an action on item 4 regarding the passenger services workers?
The action on item 4 was that we're going to, as a sidebar, we're going to have an agenda item next week on the green projects.
There is the report from LAWA, the written report.
Yeah, and as I read those questions in the record, we look forward to report back on those questions.
Okay, so we'll continue.
Thank you, Thank you, Councilman Rosendahl, for taking the
pleasure.
time. Arnold Sachs. I did have several cards in.
Yeah,
First
you
of all, on the tourism item, that was, I believe, item number 1, there was no mention about any programming to get flights to Ontario. I read in the newspaper that Australia is opening up new flights within the country, and I was wondering what's going to be done to push some of those flights to Ontario so that it can be used as a place of demarcation for tourists, because LAX is being crowded to the edge.
Right.
Nothing was done.
Appreciate that.
Then I wanted to talk about, there was the contracts with the changes at LAX, I believe was number 4. There was an audit done last year.
Yeah.
By the city of LA. They found some problems. What's the upswell from that audit? What changes have been implemented by the audit? There was a talk about putting out a request for bids for new taxi cab service or new something or other. Where's that stand? You mentioned an airport shuttle service. How about a shuttle service between the Metrolink Norwalk station and the Green Line station for the airport? There would be, in addition to, there's no direct. It would solve a lot of problems because people would get on at a terminal with their luggage. They could take it straight to LAX, get off, get on the shuttle, go to LAX. And it would serve Orange County, it would serve the Inland Empire, and it would get people if you want to move people, because there's no connection between the Green Line and Norwalk Metrolink station. Also, when the port of, there were some questions about the Port of Long Beach. Ms. Hahn was talking about the container funding for the mobile container inspection unit.
Yeah.
She mentioned that there was $90 million in funding for this, always on the budget, always, and it was changed. So where's the money? What happened to the $90 million? Can we get a report back on that? Because the delays eat up money, and the money that's eaten up goes someplace and has to be replaced by something else. So has that $90 million been replaced, funding that's been eaten up? And then, I've been meaning to bring this article up, but there's always been a cancellation. This was an article from December in the Daily Breeze regarding the car rental agencies. And it states something to the effect that car rental agencies agreed to pay $24 million into the fund to support the quasi, and I believe that's a misspelling, it should actually be queasy, Public California Trade and Tourism Commission, which promotes tourism in California. This contribution allowed the state to reduce its allocation for this agency to $1 million from $7.7 million. Okay, I know. But $24 million, why hasn't it been eliminated? Why is the state still contributing money?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I will mention something else about this meeting.
Okay, look forward to that, okay?
No, you don't. Believe me, I'm really upset.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.